All right. So hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is good. So this video is on world's largest regional grouping, where we are going to talk about ASEAN grouping here, right? Now, when I talk about the ASEAN grouping, always consider this is the biggest regional grouping here, right? This is one of the biggest regional grouping, and it acts as a central pillar. It acts as a central pillar for what that is Asian countries also, right? When I talk about it, it acts as a central pillar for the Asian countries as well. Now, since this is a news, and when I talk about the ASEAN grouping here, since this is the biggest regional grouping, this is more part of international relations. But here we are taking into consideration this news because this is recently in news, right? Now, when I talk about ASEAN, recently you can see that ASEAN Malaysia, like in Malaysia, only the meeting has taken place. Malaysia 2025, you can clearly see here. The goal here is very clear to consider, that is inclusivity as well as sustainability also. So this is what is going to be our topic of today, right? Declaration becomes important to take into consideration. Of course, after the time of Cold War, we have seen the advent of it. It is actually a kind of strong pillar which is actually very diverse in nature. So we're going to discuss about that. How many countries are there? This is the question that becomes important. Recently, there is inclusion of one more country in 2025 itself. So this is important from GA perspective. If you're the one who's preparing for UPSC, so yes, this is the most important one to cover. Uske saath saath, it is also very important the functions here, right? What it actually does, right? And rest of the information is also very important from the examination perspective. So I'm here trying not to be very examination specific. चाहे आप रेगुलेटरी की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं, चाहे आप यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं, द वे यू आर टारगेटिंग इट बिकम्स इम्पॉर्टेंट टू कवर. चाहे आप यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हो तो आपको थोड़ा सा इन डेप्थ कवरेज करना पड़ेगा. इफ यू आर द वन हु इज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर रेगुलेटरी एग्जाम, सो येस, यू पीपल नीड टू बी वेरी स्पेसिफिक विद द न्यूज हियर. This is the link of my Telegram channel, which is Economy with Payal. So anyone here who likes the video, the one can join it. And anyone here who likes the video, the entire information, the one can subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon also, that you can get timely notifications, every notification of the videos that we come up with. Now, when I talk about Asian region here, I've already told you this is one of the areas where we consider it as best of the regional groupings, right? It's a central key pillar of the Asian countries also. It is known as Association of Southeast Nations, Southeast Asian region, nations here. It is known as this. Now, when I talk about the declaration, it is actually very important from your examination perspective. If you're the one who's preparing for your regulatory kind of examination, yeah, for UPSC kind of examinations also, it came into being after Bangkok Declaration. It came into being after Bangkok Declaration here, right? So this is something which you people need to remember. ठीक है, ये जो declaration है, it is actually very important from the prelims perspective या फिर तुम्हारे phase 1 perspective से, ठीक है? क्योंकि phase 2 में अगर regulatory के लिए prepare कर रहे हो तो phase 2 में भी जो है वो कभी भी question जो है वो नहीं पूछा जाएगा. हाँ, they can ask in phase 1 that which new country has been added, and they can ask you about the declaration also, right? So these two, like from these two perspective, it is actually very important. Now let's talk about its formation also. I've already told you from the time period of Cold War, we've seen the advent of it. Since the time period of Cold War, we've seen the advent of it. It was there. The formation of ASEAN took place in the year of 1967 only. The exact date is 8th of August. Now, when I talk about the founding members here, we are having, these five founding members which are part of it. This includes Philippines, this includes Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand is also part of it, right? Now, I told you previously also that this particular grouping is actually known to be for its diversification here, right? Because if I take into consideration the areas of Malaysia या फिर Indonesia बोल लो, या फिर अगर मैं specifically म्यांमार वगैरह की बात करूं, तो यहाँ पे अगर आप इंडोनेशिया, मलेशिया वगैरह की बात करोगे, these are actually Muslim majority areas, right? अगर मैं यहाँ पे specifically म्यांमार जैसे areas की बात करूं, so they are Buddhist majority areas here. Similar is the situation with the other countries also. So that is the reason I'm calling it what? I'm calling this grouping, that is Asian grouping, as one of the grouping which is actually very diverse in nature. So this is how you actually need to deal with this entire thing. Okay, so what I told you, that this is actually very diverse in nature. Along with that, when I talk about the founding members, तो founding members के कितने हैं? 5 फाउंडिंग मेंबर्स है, बट इसके साथ साथ ओवर द कमिंग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वी हैव सीन एडिशनल मेंबर्स आल्सो, जैसे जैसे इसने जो है वो अच्छा परफॉर्म करना शुरू करा है, एडिशनल मेंबर्स हैव टेकन प्लेस है. एज इन नाउ इन टोटल वी आर हैविंग 11 members. Out of those, one member has recently been added in 2025, and in this recent meeting we have celebrated the participation of that particular country as well. Now, when I talk about the formation, I've already told you during the time period of 8th of August 1967, we've seen the formation of ASEAN region. 5 leaders used to be, of course, I've told you about Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand used to be part of it. Then they came together in Bangkok, and then we saw that a lot of disputes, when I talk about a lot of brokering of the disputes that has taken place, and then we have seen the formation of the ASEAN Declaration. Of course, they've signed one declaration here that used to be like, that is known as Bangkok Declaration here. Then only there was an advent of ASEAN here, right? Then over the coming period of time, we have seen the extension of Asian countries also. Brunei Darussalam is the one which was added in the year of 1984. Then we have seen the addition of Vietnam in the year of 1995. Then we have seen the addition of Lao PDR in the year of 1997. Myanmar is also part of it, which was added in the year of 1997. And then we have seen that in 1999 exactly, Cambodia also became part of it, right? But now we have seen the one more addition into it that has been there in the year of 2025 itself, which is Timor Leste. Okay, so this is the one been recently added. So these are the founding members, these are the founding countries, right? And these are the additional countries here. In total, how many countries do I have? In total, 11 countries I am having today. Okay. Now, if you see the countries here, see, now when I talk about the Asian grouping, ना सबसे पहले मैंने क्या बोला? Asian grouping is actually very diverse in nature. Along with that, you will see the extraordinary kind of effort that have been put by many of the countries here. For example, taking into consideration Vietnam only. In the past many years, actually Vietnam has given the entire country very, very strong and robust performance also. You can take into consideration its performance specifically in the manufacturing sector as well, right? अगर मैं यहाँ पे textile sector की भी बात करूँ, many times we argue that Vietnam is the one who's taking away deals, from us when I talk about the textile sector specifically here, right? Similarly, they are performing better in the other areas also. So these are the regions, like this is a kind of regional grouping I'm having, which is actually very diverse, which is actually very futuristic, which believes in experimentation, and which is actually growing also. Either you take Singapore या फिर अगर आप वियतनाम की बात करो, बाकी सारे areas की भी बात करो, so actually they are growing, right? Even if you take into consideration Indonesian, Philippines also, right? Now these are the colors of ASEAN. Why I've told you? Because this represents diversity. This represents what? This entire thing represents diversity here. Now here, if you see the very factful definition about, like, very facts about it, so it completely says that when I talk about the Asian grouping, they are having their own anthem, they are having their own flag, and the summits take place, when I talk about the summit, that is biannual in nature. It means they meet twice in a year, and that is what is the significance of it. And when I talk about the biannual summits, they keep on rotating their chairmanship also. The motto is very clear: one vision, one identity, and one community. Now here it also says that when I talk about the declaration here, conveyed the aspiration to further regional cooperation in the economic, social, cultural, technical, education and other fields also, which is actually bringing regional peace, which is actually bringing stability in the economy, in the global economy, and they are, they actually believe in the ethics also. So these are the things which are actually very important. It is actually very important when I talk about the Asian region here, right? Now its major pillars are what? That is political security community, economic community, as well as socio-cultural community also, which are actually the pillars of it, right? They actually support the entire grouping. In the coming slides, I'll keep on telling you what are they. Now when I talk about 2025 here, the chairmanship has been taken by whom? That is Malaysia, right? that is Malaysia specifically, and in the 2026 it will be taken by whom, that is Philippines. So of course a question can be asked in GA1, right? And when I talk about the theme here, here's ASEAN Summit theme, that is inclusivity and sustainability. If you people remember, I did show you in the second slide of the video, or the second slide of the PPT itself, that the main idea here is about inclusivity as well as sustainability also. Now here it includes a lot of agreements that have taken place, because यहाँ पे अगर मैं proper arrangements की बात करूँ, अगर मैं proper if I talk about the agreement it has it has gone into, so this includes preferential trade arrangement in the year of 1977. Of course, we've seen Asian Free Trade Area CEPT agreement in the year of 1992. We've seen Asian Framework Agreements on Services AFAS in 1995. We've seen Asian Investment Agreement in the year of 1998, and we've seen Asian Economic Community Blueprint in the year of 2007 as well. Now, believe me, these are the areas which actually makes the entire Asian grouping actually very strong, and this is again the crux of the entire thing. We have seen key of the agreements recently. Along with that, there was one addition on it, like RCEP is part of it. When I talk about the member countries who have come here and taken participation here, so India also used to be part of it, but then India quit, and India is no longer part of this RCEP, but it used to be at one time. Then India quit, and of course it did not took participation. It did not take participation in the entire formation of this RCEP. It was concluded in 2019 itself. Of course, we've seen its formation in the year of 2020, and it is covering actually what it used to cover, 30% percentage of the entire world's population. We've talked about AFTA, we've talked about ARF, we've talked about EAS, we've talked about AEC also in the previous slide only, right? And this much information is exactly very much enough from the examination perspective. कुछ इतना भी आपको in depth करने की जरूरत नहीं है. एशियन समिट के बारे में बताया मैंने कि ये जो है वो bilateral meeting जो है takes place, like biannual meeting जो है takes place. It means कि जो एक year में they meet ट्वाइस इन अ ईयर, और जो चेयरमैनशिप है वो भी क्या होती रहती है, वो भी चेंज होती रहती है, ठीक है. उसके बाद अगर मैं यहाँ पे बात करूँ टोटल मेंबर्स की, सो 11 मेंबर्स आर द वन, राइट. इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द एशियन चार्टर व्हिच इट फॉलोज एंड which is actually helpful for strengthening the Asian grouping also. It was if the effective date includes December 2008 itself. And when I talk about the coordinating council, of course it tries to implement the agreement decisions which have been taken by the ASEAN region, like when I talk about the ASEAN region here. And when I talk about the ASEAN Regional Forum as well, so it's a kind of platform for dialogue as well as this cooperation on political as well as security issues among the ASEAN member countries and their partners also. Secretariat is part of it, which supports the entire structure, and decision making is taken into consultation, right? So this includes the various things which we've already talked previously. Bangkok Declaration हुआ था, तभी जो है हमने देखा था establishment of ASEAN grouping हुआ था. उसके बाद ASA is part of it. Of course, it was formed by Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand to promote economic and cultural as well as social cooperation also. First ASEAN Summit took place in the year of 1976, where in this summit, of course, many of the members pledged to work towards the regional peace as well as stability also. Next, we had a Treaty of Amity as well as cooperation also that took place in the year of 1976. It established a kind of framework for peaceful relationships as well as cooperation among the member states. Asian Free Trade Agreement is part of it, where it tried to promote what peace, and it tried to promote development for say through the means of what, that is trade only, right? Along with that, Asian Charter is part of it, where it has given a legal kind of framework for the entire grouping here. Then Asian community, economic community is also part of it, right? So this is about the global ASEAN as well, where a lot of agreements have taken place, basically FTA agreements. Now when I talk about FTA agreement, this is what that is free trade agreements, right? A free trade agreements basically करता क्या है, ये प्रमोट करता है हमारे ट्रेड को. It promotes our trade and development also, right? It takes into consider, like for example, if ASEAN China is the one, so जितने भी हमारी countries ASEAN की होंगी, उनके साथ जो trade deals होंगी China के साथ, they will ensure कि यहाँ पे जो extra when I talk about the duties here, either it is just equivalent to 1 या फिर just they try to exempt all of the duties so that they can facilitate trade and development here, right? So this is how it happens. Of course, Asian China FTA has taken place in the year of 2004. Asian Korea FTA has taken place in the year of 2006. Asian Japan foreign free trade agreement has taken place in the year of 2008. India is also there, where it has taken place with India in the year of 2009. And then we are having New Zealand FTA also, Australia New Zealand FTA as well, like Asian Australia New Zealand FTA as well in the year of 2009 itself, right? So these are the important groupings, like these are the important free trade agreements which have been signed. And this actually this actually becomes a very important for the development from the aspect of trade and development only, right? Now this talks about the relationship between Asian as well as India also. Now here, this is when I talk about the Asian as well as India relationship, so of course there is a kind of in-depth relationship. Now you people, okay, I'll ask you one question at the end only, but you people, like when I talk about the India and Asian relation, like Asian relationships here, so in the year of 2022 itself, we have celebrated 30th anniversary. We have celebrated the relationship with ASEAN. We have celebrated the 30th anniversary with each other, and continuous monitoring of the like key certain areas takes place. So when I talk about the Asia, it's central to the India's Act East policy. It used to be Look East, Act East policy, but in the previous times only it has been turned out into Act East. It is actually known as Look East and Act East policy as well, right? Look East and Act East policies as well. In the recent times only it has been changed into Act East 1, which focuses on what? That is extending a neighborhood towards the Asia Pacific region also. Now this Asia Pacific region is actually very important from the economic perspectives. Now although we are here very much centric towards increasing our relationship from the geographical aspect, but यहाँ पे अगर मैं Asia Pacific region की बात करूँ, so actually ये trade के लिए हमारे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा significance जो है वो create करता है, ठीक है? It's a part of Asian plus 6 grouping as well. The countries in the grouping includes China, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, Australia as well. In 2010 itself, I've told you that a kind of agreement has taken place, specifically which have been forged and entered into the year of 2010 itself, where we've seen that we have came into the trade kind of thing with Asian region as well, right? So while India was a part of the negotiation to join RCEP, it ultimately decided not to be. I told you that India used to be part of it, but then it ended up quitting this RCEP, right? So India and ASEAN started to hold summits together in the year of 2002 itself, a decade after the country establishes formal engagement with the group. So these are the few of the pointers which I've already told you, right? And the simplest said, when I talk about the Asian region ना, so Asian grouping actually जो एशियन ग्रुपिंग है ये एक्चुअली हमारे ग्लोबल साउथ को भी रिप्रेजेंट करती है, ठीक है? I have told you many times about the meaning of the global south. So it refers to the country of Asia, Africa, Latin America as well as Oceania also. Like most of the countries where 88% of the world's population lives experience colonial rule, historical lagged in achieving the sustainable levels of industrialization also. Now this Asian region tries to improve the situation. The developed countries of North America, Europe on another hand are often referred to as what? That is global north. So people already know about the difference between the global north and global south. So according to this unique tag here, the global south countries typically exhibit what? That is lower levels of development. And when I compare it with the global global north here, these are the regions which consist of high development, right? For example, AI penetration. For example, this is only, right? I'm taking layman example only. So for example, if I talk about the penetration of AI in the regions, so of course it would be more in the global north and less in the global south, क्योंकि ये जो particular area है ये क्या है, थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा developed areas है, ठीक है? The term global south does denotes what? That is political, geopolitical, economic similarities between nations, and hence it should not be conflated with strict regional connotations. For instance, most of the Asian countries fall under the global south only, and yet the countries such as Israel हो गया, South Korea हो गया, Japan हो गया, they're considered part of the global north because of their higher developments. Otherwise, if I talk about majorly, they are part of the South Asian, global south regions only. Now this is why it is in news. Recently, a meeting has been concluded here, and we have seen that addressing the ASEAN India Leaders Summit in Kuala Lumpur via virtual mode, Prime Minister Modi ji said that the 21st century is our century, the century of Indian ASEAN. He also declared 2026 as a ASEAN India Year of the Maritime Cooperation, and in this context, only, they have talked about the recent developments also that have taken place here, right? You can clearly see the ASEAN region here welcomed East Timor as its newest member. So who is the 11th member here? They can ask you one question in the GA as well. Who is the newest member here? That is East Timor, right? And in Sunday only, we have seen the entire declaration, like we have seen the advent of this new member as well, right? Now, when I talk about the East Timor, who's also known as Timor-Leste, had a long kind of attempt to join the ASEAN region. Finally, we've seen the coordination, even if it is economically, politically, and maybe from the security perspective also, the proper coordination has taken place. Now, the joining of East Timor and the ASEAN also marked the bloc's first expansion in the years after Cambodia. That we have seen that the last expansion was Cambodia only, in that too in the year of 1999. And after 1999, now this East Timor has taken is part of it, which is exactly in the year of 2025. So here it has covered a lot of gap of years in between as well, right? Now this is entirely crux of the entire meeting. Okay, these are the key takeaways of the meeting here. Participating countries कौन सी थी? 11 countries थी. I've already told you about that. Formation के regarding I've already told you about that. यहाँ पे अगर मैं 2025 की meeting की बात करूँ, who has presided it? So of course Malaysia is the one. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim is the one who has presided the meeting. इसका theme क्या था? So inclusivity and sustainability is the theme here that we have seen. Of course, the summit highlights includes the introduction of the 11th ASEAN member, and it has reaffirmed the ASEAN centrality in the Indo-Pacific area also. Major announcements has said that 2026 has been declared as a year of India and Asia Maritime Cooperation. That is the reason it is actually very important for India to consider. Participation, like when I talk about the partnership pillars, so this includes security हो गया, trade and development हो गया, commerce हो गया, connectivity हो गया, disaster response हो गया, maritime हो गया, blue economy is also one of the important part of it. Now the areas of cooperation includes what? That is digital inclusion, food security, education and tourism, green energy, cyber security and supply chain resilience is also one of the important part of it, right? Now this is something which is actually very important. Economic ties basically क्या है? So अगर मैं India ASEAN bilateral trade की बात करूँ, so that settles at what? That is $122.6 billion. जो strategic vision है, that is ASEAN Community Vision by the year of 2045, and Viksit Bharat is also aligned with this particular thing, right? Cultural relations है, तभी मैंने आपको बोला कि बहुत ज़्यादा जो diversity है हमें ASEAN region में देखने को मिलती है, and it is having the global significance also, right? So that is the full-fledged information about it. Now I have not when I talk about the information shared with all of you people, I've tried to be very specific from the examination perspective itself. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा जो है वो in depth में जाके जो है जो information है आपके साथ share करी है. Although it's a major topic of the international relationship, which is majorly part of UPSC only, but I've taken into consideration कि कुछ जो part है वो UPSC का भी cover हो, but majorly I've tried to compile the information all regarding from your examination perspective only, and specifically from GA aspect also, right? So all right, thank you so much for joining the session. If you people have any doubt about the ASEAN grouping here, you can just you can just mention your doubts in the comment section, and of course I'll address that. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.